The fragile ceasefire between Iran and the United States has collapsed. We are now facing the very real possibility of a large-scale, protracted conflict, one that could fundamentally reshape our world. To understand how we got here, let's briefly recap. Tensions have simmered for decades over Iran's nuclear program. The collapse of the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal, and a series of escalating military strikes between Iran, Israel, and the United States in mid-2025 brought us to the brink. Now, after a short-lived truce, we are here. So, what does a world with an active Iran-US conflict actually look like in the near future? In this video, we'll break down the key arenas where this war will be fought, beyond just the battlefields. First, we need to abandon any idea of a short, decisive war. Recent negotiations between the US and Iran, held in Islamabad, collapsed largely because of what analysts call deep-rooted structural contradictions and a total breakdown of trust between the two nations. What we are entering instead is a prolonged, moderate-intensity conflict. One expert describes it as a war of nerves, budgets, and patience. This isn't about who wins a single battle. It's about who can endure the longest. Let's look at two possible scenarios. Scenario A, the air campaign, a sustained standoff involving U.S. airstrikes aimed at systematically wearing down Iran's military and economic capabilities. Think weeks or months of strikes on missile sites, nuclear facilities, and command centers. Scenario B, the long grind, a more extreme path where America might need to put boots on the ground in some capacity. But here's the challenge. Iran's population is large, its terrain is difficult, and stabilizing the country could tie down American forces for years, if not decades. This is the forever war scenario, and neither side wants it, but it remains a real possibility if the conflict deepens. Now let's talk about the nuclear question, the unthinkable red line. Before the 2025 strikes, Iran had stockpiled over 400 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium. That's just a short technical step away from weapons-grade material. In fact, experts estimated Iran could produce enough fissile material for a bomb in a matter of days. So what's the situation now? Reports are contradictory. U.S. and Israeli strikes, codenamed Operation Midnight Hammer, have been successful in many respects. One Israeli official even claimed that Iran no longer has a single functioning enrichment facility. But other intelligence reports tell a different story. They say Iran has preserved key elements of its nuclear program and retains a stockpile of nearly 1,000 pounds of near-weapons-grade uranium. And here's the most dangerous part. The conflict may have actually strengthened Tehran's incentive to pursue a nuclear weapon as a deterrent against future attacks. The very act of trying to prevent a nuclear Iran may have pushed it closer to becoming a reality. This conflict is not happening in a vacuum. It is accelerating the formation of rival geopolitical blocs. Take Russia. While Iran hasn't formally asked for direct military aid, a 20-year treaty between the two nations commits them to countering security threats. A leaked 2025 report even indicates a $590 million secret missile deal to rebuild Iran's air defenses. Then there's China. Bound by a 25-year strategic partnership with Iran, Beijing faces a delicate balancing act. China is unlikely to send troops, but it may provide significant economic support, and it is solidifying ties through joint military exercises within the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. What about the Gulf states? They are walking a tightrope. They are wary of a powerful Iran, but they are also alarmed by regional instability. This could lead them to stay closer to Tehran, or paradoxically expedite normalization with Israel as a counterbalance. Now let's talk about the global economic fallout. This is where the conflict hits home for everyone watching. The U.S. naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz is the key trigger. Remember, 30% of the world's seaborne oil trade passes through that narrow strait. If the blockade persists, analysts predict oil prices could skyrocket, with one institute forecasting a peak of $160 per barrel. That would cause immediate, dramatic inflation everywhere. And it's not just oil. Higher energy costs and a conflict zone in a major shipping lane would cripple global supply chains, raising the cost of everything from food to electronics. This would likely trigger a global recession. Some models predict US inflation alone could spike to 5.5%. We also have to address the human cost, because behind the headlines are real people. According to recent estimates, over 1,000 civilians have been killed, more than 4,900 injured, and over 3.2 million people displaced inside Iran. But the numbers only tell part of the story. Consider this: 28 scientists have been killed, including 12 nuclear experts and 2 artificial intelligence specialists. This represents a devastating loss for the country's future, a lost generation of knowledge and talent. And the displacement isn't just an Iranian tragedy. The European Union is already warning of a potential refugee crisis on a scale unprecedented from a nation of 90 million people. That could destabilize neighboring countries and fuel political upheaval in Europe. Finally, we need to talk about the invisible war, the digital front. The US government has warned that Iranian state-sponsored or affiliated threat actors are actively targeting American critical infrastructure. That includes news outlets, shipping, travel, energy, financial, and telecommunications sectors. This isn't a future hypothetical. It's happening now. US agencies have already warned that hacktivists and government spies linked to Iran could launch digital attacks. What would that look like in practice? Power grid failures, financial system disruptions, interference with air travel and shipping. This is a war that could impact everyday Americans directly, not through bombs, but through a black screen or a frozen bank account. So let's summarize. We are facing 2 potential futures. One is a costly, destabilizing forever war, a conflict of attrition fought in the air, on the ground, through the global economy, and across digital networks. A war where America needs victory, but Iran only needs tomorrow. The other path is a fragile, unstable peace, a de-escalated but multipolar order where no one wins, but everyone loses a little less. The choices made in the next few months won't just decide the fate of one nation. They will determine whether the 21st century is defined by endless conflict or a tense, brittle coexistence. As we watch these events unfold, the only certainty is uncertainty. Which future do you think is more likely? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this analysis useful, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dive geopolitical content. Thanks for watching.